Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Betsy, for that sweet introduction. And Davis, it is so wonderful to have you back in the sanctuary, sharing your gift with us. And Jackie, thank you for selecting that beautiful hymn. It does indeed bring up a lot of powerful and positive emotions for me, not just on Friendship Sunday, but always, because it is the song that I played to both of my daughters in utero as they were growing their bodies inside of mine. As an Aquarian, I suppose I am the friendship sign of the whole zodiac, and I cannot tell you how blessed I feel this morning by the friendship and the vibration of love that is coming through to me from all of you on Zoom and those of you in the sanctuary. And so to set our intention, we turn to the words of wisdom from the book of Matthew in Holy Scripture, which is among the words that have moved me and inspired me this week. So from Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 to 16 remind us, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick. And it gives light to all who are in that house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. So may it be, so may we, each of us, shine forth the glory of God. This morning, I have joy on my shoulders, which is this little banner that I picked up the last time that I was at Unity Village. And I thought that the lady who designed them must have had me in mind, because this is something I often was saying before I found it. And it says, shine your sweet self. Shine your sweet self. I had so been looking forward to being together in person in Rochester this morning, because Friendship Sunday is a holiday that I declared for myself years ago and that I love to celebrate in community. And so I just thank each and every one of you who has done something to prepare for today, for the cider and the s'mores and the hanging out together and the bringing your hearts of love there, and know that I am there with you in spirit. So many exciting things have informed what I am showing up to learn this morning as I share with you. First of all, this is the first Sunday in this beautiful, gorgeous month of October. And in our Unity tradition, we focus on the spiritual power of enthusiasm, recognizing that enthusiasm is comprised of two words from the Greek, en, in, and theos, God. So that when we are spiritually lit up from within, we are enthused and we are living our lives in God. Enthusiasm is represented by the color orange, and in the temple of our bodies, it is located at the back of the head. So just underneath the pituitary gland, just in that beautiful space, that soft space behind the head is where this spiritual faculty is located. This morning, the message that's coming through for me about friendship is that I have learned, particularly in the last few months, that until we have made friends with ourselves, with our true self, our capital S high self, we truly cannot draw to us the friendships that sustain, that nurture us, that uplift us, and that comfort us. Certainly the one friendship that is referenced in the title I received for this message, friends along the path, and then there's the one friend, refers to making friends with our true self, where we become still and know that we are God. We become still and know that we are God, and understand that in the next 60 seconds, the breath of God, the voice for God, and the wisdom of God is available to us in this eternal, never-changing friendship. This friendship with the Christ mind, this friendship with our higher self, this friendship, as Betsy's reading reminded us, where we recognize ourselves as divine so that we might look at each other and know that in our divinity, we are inseparable. The Apostle Simon the Zealot traditionally has represented this power of enthusiasm. And so I just invoke the spirit of Simon as I move forth to share with you this morning about friendship. And you might see some beautiful fall flowers behind me, which were actually a gift from a friend as I was meeting a challenge the last couple of weeks. And in speaking with this friend, I was able to notice that the offer of love that the friend was making to me to help me in any way possible during the last couple of weeks of learning opportunities, that offer of love was so genuine and so unabashed and so complete that I was struck with how singular this gift of friendship meant when I could say to this person on the phone, "You are a real friend. I'm not sure I have anyone else in my life who would have offered the love that you just did." So we come together this morning to truly celebrate this gift of friendship, of kinship, of kindred spiritship, of recognizing each other as soulmates. And I mentioned the 60-second practice, which is a practice that has come into my prayer life in the last several months, as I noticed that if I could just live and breathe into the next 60 seconds, I am open and receptive to the direction of my higher self, to hearing the voice of the one friend, the eternal friend, the changeless friend, which is the Christ. So what I bring you this morning is gratitude for the pet blessing yesterday. Our furry friends received such welcome anointing by Reverend Linda and by our friend Anne Marie, who is an advocate for animals. And I understand that it was beautiful and that much friendship was shared at that pet blessing. And again, thanks to the handful of volunteers who brought that to pass. I had my own pet experience this week. My youngest daughter, Kendra's dog, Harper, a Bernedoodle. You might remember 3 years ago, I may have shared with you at some point that she managed to swallow a sponge, which resulted in about $4,000 worth of surgery, x-rays, and hospital stay. So this week, when some of her symptomology seemed to indicate that she was having tummy troubles, and her tummy has been sensitive since the sponge episode, My daughter did not waste time getting her to the vet, where she ended up spending most of this week until they did decide they had to do surgery again, and extrapolated from the top of her duodenum, where her tummy was blocked and she hadn't been eating, this time something that looked like a small crab apple. And so for most of the week, they, looked at the tree outside where she probably ate this larger, very tough, hard berry that was not being broken down in her system. And they thought that that was the cause. In fact, it turned out when they picked her up on Friday that Kendra asked, do you happen to have the thing that got stuck in her? Because this is the second time that she's done this. And the vet tech very happily said, oh yeah, actually we kept it for you. I'll go and get it. And Kendra's husband said, we must have such a dumb dog. That was the best he could do in that moment, because of course, when this happened the first time, they thought, that's it. We'll keep an eye on her. There's no way that this could happen twice. And since animals are wonderful teachers, we know that in the world of appearances, just about anything can happen twice until we are complete with that particular experience. And so when they saw the object that had been stuck in Harper for a week, they realized that in fact it was a small spongy ball. Once again, this thing of sponge, who knows? And so it's been a very quiet time of sitting with her post-operatively while she tolerates the cone that she has to wear, and also waits patiently for the pain to subside and for the hair on her tummy to heal or grow back. And so truly, this experience of watching Harper suffer and move through having this removed from her body so that she could eat, it's a very humbling experience for me, because I noticed my daughter just loving it, loving what is. She showed up present to her puppy, who just needed to be sat with all of Friday and all of Saturday when they brought her home. And I noticed that that is something that was coming up in me, to just sit and love the next 60 seconds. Some of you have supported me, and I have been able to share with you that I had a pretty wonderful healing opportunity that happened just about 2 weeks ago. And the bulk of my 10-minute talk is really going to be based on something that happened to me in the car one of the times when I was coming back from multiple visits to clinics and to the hospital. And it was a song that has inspired me this morning. Of course, ever the poet, I resonate with the beauty of lyrics. And I will tell you the artist's name is Rachel Lampa, just the way it sounds, Lampa, which of course, not accidentally, is the Italian word meaning light. So her last name means light. And the lyric that caught my attention was, who said that you didn't belong in your own skin? I couldn't believe that I was hearing that, because of course my healing opportunity was coming in various iterations on my skin. Who said that you didn't belong in your own skin? In that moment, I was able to shift my perception and recognize, yeah, who said that other than my ego that's trying to get me out of my skin right now, that's not accepting what's going on in my skin right now, that doesn't believe what's going on, and that needs to just be in the next 60 seconds with everything that this opportunity is bringing me, to be able to transcend the experience in the physical and to rise at the call of that hymn on the radio, that was reminding me, I am spirit. I am spirit. And so as I continue to rebound, as I continue to glean and to dig out little nuggets of gold from this powerful, powerful experience from my body temple, I bring to you this song that really answers the question about who the friend is in the talk title that came for me this morning. So we bless all of those friends that came and left, all of the friends that perhaps came and have stayed. And above all, we become conscious and aware of the one friend, the true friend, the changeless friend, which is the Christ within us, our divine self, our spiritual self. And so I began converging on the power of enthusiasm, on practicing breathing into just the next 60 seconds, on answering the question, how can I be enthusiastic about who I am? So just breathe that for a moment. I'm going to ask you to take that question in. Am I enthusiastic about who I am? How can I bring enthusiasm to the truth of who I am? And so in Rachel Lampa's song, I found my answer that allowed me to stay 60 seconds at a time into the physical experience of what was happening for me. And the healing has been miraculous. The healing, thanks to the intervention a week ago today of Western medicine, which I had been very stubborn and very resistant about, after 2 weeks of suffering with one more visit to a clinic early last Sunday morning, intervention allowed me to heal almost entirely of the entire physical stress that I was in. So let me bring you back to Rachel Lampa's song that answers the question for me, how can I be enthusiastic about who I am? How can I be enthusiastic about who I am? By recognizing, and here's her title, there's never been a moment that you were not perfectly loved. There has never been a moment that you were not perfectly loved. And so I'll just go through and share my resonance with the lyrics in terms of how it blessed me in my spiritual growth, in terms of how it shed more light on my ever increasing desire to practice prayer, sometimes 60 seconds at a time. Sometimes Joel Goldsmith says it has to be 10 seconds at a time. So I'll go through all of the lyrics once and read them as they speak to me, very much as a poem, and then I'll just spend a few minutes zeroing in on those that particularly were spiritual food for me as I continue to embrace my experience of healing. Who said that you didn't belong in your own skin? So many little words, so many little lies that have followed you all of your life. You were looking for the truth. Look into your eyes and you'll see that it's been there the whole time. Oh yes, even when you were running, even when you were hiding, you've never been anything but perfectly loved. When you barely believed it, when your eyes couldn't see it, every single moment, we've always been perfectly loved. In the hands of the infinite, as the wounds of the world became his. See the kindness heaven has for you and how he's always been drawing you in. So many open doors, so many miracles that have followed you all of your life. You're not a problem. You're not a mistake. You do not need fixing or solving, for you are in the arms of grace. You are perfectly human and perfectly divine. You've got a heart broken and scarred, yet perfectly loved. For even when you were running, even when you were hiding, you've never been anything but perfectly loved. When you barely believed it, when your eyes, these eyes of the body, couldn't see it, every single moment, you've always been perfectly loved. There's never been a moment that you were not perfectly loved. You've got a heart broken and scarred, yet perfectly loved. So I ask you this morning to connect with that heart that may be scarred, but has never been anything but perfectly loved. I think about her lyrics and think back to times when I was running, certainly to times when I was making bad choices and was hiding from the light that was never extinguished in me. Certainly those many, many words, those lies and those little words that caused me to barely believe in the one friend that seduced me into believing that I was anything but perfectly loved the whole time. So even when I was running, even when I was hiding, even when I barely believed it, when my eyes, the eyes of my body couldn't see it, every single moment, we've always, each one of us, been perfectly loved. So thinking about that gratitude that comes up for me when she talks about so many open doors, so many miracles that have followed me all of my life. And those miracles, as I open to receive the message of the one friend, of the eternal friend within, those messages and those miracles continue to be revealed into my consciousness. For in the hands of the infinite, in the wounds that became the Christ, I see the kindness of heaven and how he's always been drawing me in. So let's just take a moment and give thanks right now for the one friend that has always been drawing us in. Let us flash and shine the light that is the truth of us from within onto all of those doors that have yet to open for us. So many open doors, so many miracles. Those have followed us and those that we open yet to receive. We are perfectly human and perfectly divine, and we've never been anything but perfectly loved. Can we accept that? Can we answer the question, how can I be enthusiastic about who I am right here, right now, in the arms of grace in the next 60 seconds? Because we've all looked for the truth, and we all accept and acknowledge this morning that by looking into our eyes and seeing the one friend, the eternal friend, we'll see that it's been there the whole time. Because even when we were running, even when we were hiding, certainly when we barely believed it and when our eyes couldn't see it, we were always by the one friend, by the one changeless eternal place where we are the light every single moment. we've always been perfectly loved. So let us take this truth that we have always been perfectly loved. And let us take the lyric directly from her poetry, which actually reads, "There's never been a moment that you were not perfectly loved." Allow that love now to freely flow forth from your heart center, from that heart that may be scarred, but the heart that is perfectly loved. There's never been a moment that you were not perfectly loved. And mostly the hiding, the running, the not believing, the not seeing it. Let us say that most of that phase of our growth is behind us, and that we open to know this truth, that there has never been a moment, not even 60 seconds, that you were not perfectly loved. Accepting this love, acknowledging this love, recognizing this love, and allowing it to freely flow in us, for us, from us, and through us. We move now gently into a time of contemplating the one friend, the changeless friend, the eternal friend, which is our God self. Let us become still and know, I am God. Be still and know, I am God. Be still and know, I am God. There's never been a moment when you were not perfectly loved. We look now with the eyes of spirit within, and we recognize and see that it's been there the whole time. Contemplating this true self, this one friend, this real self. We embrace and return in meditation and contemplation to the oneness, where we are one with that eternal Christ mind, that Christ friend, that eternal self, so that we might include, embrace, and fold and draw in each person on divine appointment, each person, each friend that has been and has left, each friend that is still here, each friend that has yet to arrive. Through the Christ friend that has always perfectly loved us, we welcome this expression of divine love, and we rest now